Okay, YouTube, Arizona RE here, and I'm out doing another couple of experiments here. So I have the cool cam up on the handlebars, and I move the Vivitar down to the passenger rear foot peg, right foot peg, and see if we can't get some different angles there, maybe pick up a few less vibrations so we can use the camera more. So what I have here for you is I'm on my little test road that I've showed you before. And just wanted to cover a couple more things about the cameras I'm using. On my chin is a GoPro Hero 3 white. I guess that's the basic for the Hero 3. I didn't purchase it. It was given to me because the person who owned it thought it was useless. It had a couple of issues. One was that the audio and the video wouldn't stay synced. So the audio and video not staying synced, and the guy using it was not real good with the video processing software and things like that. He really wanted something he could just maybe just make some soft edits, chop here and there. So he ended up cutting a lot of the audio out. We'll just put songs and things like that over it. And he just never bothered to research it real well. The other thing it was doing was it was shutting off every couple of minutes on him. So he gave it to me and said, hey, if you want it, I bought a Hero 3 Plus, and that's what I'm going to use. So he gave it to me. So I did a little research on it, figured out he wasn't using a Class 10 card. Once I put a Class 10 card inside of it, that stopped the shutting down every 10 minutes. And then once I did the update, firmware update, the audio is always in sync and records like a charm. So I went back to him and said, hey, if you want it back, you can have it back. I don't feel right taking something from you that was perfectly good and not having paid for it. Considering these things cost anywhere between $200 to $600, depending on which version you buy. And he told me, he says, hey, you were the one that sorted it out. You keep it. I've got the Hero 3 Plus. I'm not worried about it. So I didn't even pay for this thing. I later went on and purchased all the adapters and things like that because he kept a hold of those since he bought a new camera. He could use all the mounting and stuff like that went with it. So what am I going to do, gripe about that? I can't tell. Let's see, is this person looking for me? Hey, they are. How about that? So then my next issue was with the Vivitar camera. That was the one you saw sitting on the handlebars on the last MotoVlog. And the issue I have with that is it was supposed to shoot at 30 frames per second in 720 HD. And someone could probably argue the quality of the lens or this, that, and the other as far as HD goes. However, the issue I really had with it was that, oh man, there is a lot of gravel and stuff on the road here. This won't be good for getting out on the street. I've probably seen my biggest window there to get out. But at any rate, the frames are supposed to be 30 frames per second. And when I plugged all the videos into my video editing software, which I use Sony Vegas Pro. Look at there. There's a pro for you. So I use Sony Vegas Pro, and as I dropped it in there, I synchronized everything. Whenever I start off, I give a visual cue, 1, 2, 3, to all the audio and all the video that I have recording. And everything synced right up. I was like, okay, we're good to go. Now it's just a matter of, you know, making it my picture-in-picture, or doing little cutaways and whatnot. That Vivitar camera, it kept falling out of sync. After about a minute of video, it would be 1.5 seconds behind. After 2 minutes of video, it would be 3 or 4 seconds behind. So in researching it, I isolated the video and I put it in the in Sony Vegas You can take each of the imported video products and scrub them a bit, work on them within the project but separate from the project, and so that's what I did. And I went to the frame counter and was going through frame by frame, and at 30 frames per second, what I was noticing was about every minute or so, it wasn't dropping frames, but what it was doing was duplicating frames. So the same frame will be shot for 3 or 4 frames. And normally, if you were just running that video and nothing else, it would just look a little jerky, you know, to the eye. But when you're syncing it up with 2 other cameras and audio, it becomes easy to notice. And if you go back and watch that video, you'll see parts there where it looked like my head was turning either just before or just after. Some of that was from my efforts of trying to get it to sync back up. So what I had to do essentially was punch back in every minute and scrub the video together. So not real impressed with it, especially considering it doesn't shoot in H.264, which means I have to put it through a video converter, because Sony Vegas Pro, although it harbors a lot of codecs and can work on a lot of the most common videos, that particular one, nice, that was a Royal Enfield. Hey, you know what? It's a triple bonus when you get to see a Royal Enfield there, buddy. Let me tell you something. So, that, man, what was I saying? Oh yeah, dropped frames. So, because of all the dropped frames, I can't use it reliably for, say, the looking back at me video, or to have it playing continuously in sync with everything else. And I had to chop it up every minute or so and push it or pull it in order to make it sync back up. And that's just not going to work for that. However, it is, or was just, I don't know what it was, a $25 or $30 purchase on Amazon. So I've strapped it to the foot peg. If it gets ground off, it's not that big of a loss. Actually, it's a passenger foot peg, so there's no real threat of that. But I figure I'll use it for the cutaways, those brief moments where we look to another angle. And I moved the cool cam up here, which the cool cam, the audio is completely non-existent on it, and this was another $25 purchase. Actually, no, I think this one was $30 or $35 maybe, I don't know. But regardless, it wasn't dropping frames, so it should be easier to keep mounted up here on the handlebar. And they both use the same kind of mounts, so it's really not going to be that big of a problem. They both use the same kind of mounts. It should be a pretty easy fix, and they're still usable. So, short vlog today, folks. I just thought you guys would be interested in sort of a little review of that Vivitar 785 HD. Just know what it is before you go buy it. If you decide to pick up a second camera, it's not going to replace your GoPro, and I never expected it to. I think it's going to find itself useful in the location it's at, and that is in locations other than the primary camera angles. So we'll see how that goes. And wow, the wind is beating me today. It is really, really windy. That probably sounds like shit inside my helmet. So thank you folks very much, and I'll get back with you with an updated MotoVlog of what the advancement of the microphones are, and we'll also have a look at some of these camera angles. So go ahead. If you folks are still with me through all of that, then thank you very much. So with all of that said, thank you folks very much. This is Arizona RE signing off. Just before I go, I wanted to thank each and every one of my subscribers and each and every one of you viewers. You guys are very gracious and very engaging, and I really appreciate that. I've said it before, this motovlogging stuff is really as much a mental exercise for myself as it is for the entertainment value that it might be serving to anyone else. So for that, I thank you. And if you're new and you're just seeing this for the first time, because perhaps my tag had the Vivitar something in it that brought you here, well then, if you liked hearing me ramble and talk about things, by all means, hit subscribe, hit like, make a comment, ask a question. Hey, that's one of those Jose Davidsons I really don't like. Nice. Hate those guys. Alright, thanks folks. Have a good night.